The scoreboard, as far as the Donut King Australian Performance Cars Championship is concerned, looks like this. The opening race, well, that went to Mark King. He was penalised in the second. That allowed Chris Alajarjan to take the win. The consistent player, Cameron McConville, has certainly been Peter Floyd.
Very consistent indeed. That Commodore is working well around a track that you'd have to think with the tight, twisty nature of it would suit the all-wheel drive cars a little more.
Good start from Alajarjan. He launches away. So too does Gary Holt. The green machine to the right of your screen there, that is Peter Floyd. They all funnel into the centre chicane for the first time, and we've seen some dramas here across the weekend. Nesbitt, that's his tidiest run through there so far.
Yeah, they all get through reasonably well. We haven't seen Alajarjan off the front row of the grid yet, so we'll see if he can get a gap and maybe on cold tyres get away from Peter Floyd. But so far this weekend he's had to come through the field.
Barry Sternbeck, the aggressor there in the black and silver HSV GTS Commodore. And the number 9 entry of Anton Metchler, the MTech Motorsport Evo 7 Lancer, struggles to get off the line. Game over in round 1 of the championship for the Doctor. Gary Holt tries to defend the line as they go into the hairpin. Look at Sternbeck, cops a touch from Barry Nesbitt. That slows both of them down and helps Holt immensely.
Gary blocked the inside line at the hairpin there, which you're entitled to do on the opening laps of these races. And you can see, actually, it looks like Nesbitt had a fair bit of understeer. You can see the front wheel turning and the car going straight. Perhaps just got on the gas a little early and just a slight touch. Mark
King is banking some solid times. He started from position 12 in this one. And he's the one we've got to feel sorriest for, I guess, Cam, after copying that drive-through penalty in the opening race.
I remember watching the start, Rusty, and thinking he got an absolute demon start, but perhaps it was slightly too good, and he may have just moved slightly over the grid line before the lights went out, and that's a drive-through penalty, but I mean, it really has ruined his weekend.
You can see there he's already in behind the Donut King entry of Barry Nesbitt. So good recovery from Mark King and using that Evo 8 Lancer to maximum effect. They run down here toward turn 8. Alajarjan, quick look in the rear view mirror. Floyd, how he touches the wall. He did touch the wall.
He certainly did there. He just slightly touched it. It could have been worse. So I'd say he's having a big go to try and bridge that gap to Alajarjan, because he's now actually fallen back and Gary Holt is right up behind him.
Whew, that'll get the heart rate up for Peter Floyd.
He's known as a fairly aggressive driver too. He really does manhandle this big GTS 300 kilowatt Commodore around the circuit. You can see it stretch the legs there, a little bit taily even round the right-hander. Gary Holt goes straight down the inside, but he's not quite far enough up. Or is he? I think Floyd has given him room and he's through.
Drag race now as they work toward the centre chicane. The V8 comes to the fore. Launches past the turbocharged 4-cylinder 4-wheel drive. And he gets that position back. Tremendous stuff. Over the curbs.
That's what makes this championship so interesting to watch, because you could see the Evo was a lot stronger under brakes and the Commodore just stretched its legs down the straight.
We won't get too deep into the technicalities, but there is a lead trophy system in this category to keep things on an even playing field. The winners will cop something in the order of a 4% weight bonus, if you like, of the homologated weight of their car. And for the likes of Mark King, that equates to a fair bit, Cam. It's about 60 kilos, and it then drops to 3% for second place, 2% for third place.
That's right, and I think, look, it's a great way to keep the parity issue in check. And I mean, people don't realise the all-wheel drive cars are reasonably heavy because of actually having the all-wheel drive system, the extra drivetrain there. They're not particularly light, but they obviously make up for it with the extra grip. So 60 kilos in a car like that, in a production car, is a fair amount of weight.
Graham Alexander, Andrew Taplin, and I think Steve Cramp's in there as well. There's 5 guys really going at it as they venture through the turn 7 section. 3 wide coming into 8. Someone has to yield, and it's Taplin.
Yeah, James Phillip just slid through there. A nice move in the Falcon up the inside, and he'll have to try and block the line there because the 2 guys behind him are now racing each other. And Dawson picks up another spot, so he gets underneath at the hairpin as well.
Rod Dawson, a good job in the Ford FPV, the GT Mark II, as Nesbitt ventures into the lane. This is Dawson, though. How much air do you want?
I tell you, that car, you can just see the suspension soak it up. He's having a bit of brake problems, I'd say, there, but look at the wheel travel. And fortunately, there's a fair bit of ground clearance in that car.
King, big lock-up in his pursuit of a podium, and has it coming together with Sternbeck. Big hit. Keeps him right in check. a shot there before of Barry Morecambe as well in the number 11 entry. They've had some weird engine problems with this car. They dynoed it before the opening round of the championship and thought they had some good horsepower, but discovered a cracked head, I think it was, as the weekend progressed. No dramas for this guy. He has been a demon on the streets of Adelaide. Chris Alajarjan ends the reign of Mark King in this class. The Subaru on top in the opening round of the series. The 18-year-old will take the round victory. What a tremendous job. Floyd, consistent performer, second, and Gary Holt third in the final race in the opening round. Barry Sternbach fought through for fourth, and Rick Shaw fifth. There's Holt congratulating the round winner.
Chris, congratulations, a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, I did what I said. I was looking up to race 3 and I said, you know, seeing as though I'm on pole, if I can get the guys behind to dice each other, if I get a good start, I'll just lead the way the whole way, and I did.
Had 3 seconds this weekend, which has been really good. It's a fabulous place, this Adelaide, and it's good to get to race these cars with all the crowd watching.
You got a bit of a sweat up, Gaz. It must be hard work out there.
Mate, I tell you what, I haven't had one easy race. I'm looking forward to having an easy race.
Chat about parity during this race because there is a lead trophy system. And once again, the Delphi Mitsubishi Evo blasts off the line, that four-wheel drive. He makes maximum advantage of it, Mark King, and is first into the centre chicane. Floyd in the HSV Commodore. Look at Gary Holt. He's beaten Alajarjan to the chicane and just launches the car across the ripple strips there.
It's also interesting to note too, Rusty, is the amount of dust coming out from the cars there through the first chicane. So particularly early in the day around the Clipsal circuit here, and that is something that the guys will probably have to look at. I suppose after a couple of laps the track should start to grip up, but very green around that first chicane there.
Gene Nesbitt is always in the thick of the action in the Donut King Commodore, isn't he? Arguing there with Graham Alexander in the Evo 7 Lancer as they work down toward turn 8 on cold tyres for the first time. Difficult to see at this time of the morning, but Floyd's made a move on King here and wrestles the lead. King looks as though he's in trouble. That was all too easy.
Yeah, he really, Floyd dived up the inside and had a big lunge, and you can see that Gary Holt's now blocking the inside line a little bit unstable under brakes, I've got to say. He actually looked like he just started to run wide at the apex. And Holt's lost a spot too. Alajarjan's just gone straight up the inside of the hairpin and already made up 2 or 3 car lengths.
You could hear that distinctive flat 4 sound of the Subaru as Alajarjan blasted past him, getting better bite off the corners. Both these cars 4-wheel drives though, but Subaru versus Mitsubishi. Hard under brakes now. Closing in. Car 69, that's Barry Sternbach in another HSV GTS.
Perfect conditions for the turbos too. Really, this nice crisp air will certainly probably increase the horsepower of some of the turbo cars, the Subaru and the Mitsubishi as well. I mean, you couldn't get better. Nice still day.
Alajarjan and Gary Holt again launching the cars over the curves. Barry Sternbach's had a much tidier line through there, and he's closing in. I tell you, just in the corner of the shot there, it looks like Gary Holt is in some sort of trouble. I'm not sure whether it's a brake balance problem or a compression lock of some kind, but under brakes and on the downshift, that car does not look very tidy. Andrew Taplin in the pit lane, and that looks like game over for him in the Evo Lancer in race 2.
Yeah, driver's door's open, so I think the guys are going to get him out of the car. But you're right, Gary Holt's car over the bumps, a little unstable, but it seems to be towards the very end of the stop, just as he's about to decrease his braking pressure and turn the car into the corner, it gets unstable. But Alajarjan's got another run into turn 8, and he's through. There's certainly no lack of horsepower from that Subaru.
On board with Gary Holt, and he blasts by our early race leader, Mark King. Look at this, Sternbach on the charge here, and he's now up into 3rd place. Struggles for a little bit of traction off the turn. Now the V8 comes to the fore, and I'm surprised that Holt can't match it with him at that point. He should have perhaps had a little bit of strength in that Evo Lancer at that stage of the circuit.
Fair bit of white smoke coming out the back there. I'm not sure if that's a tyre rubbing or engine smoke. But Holt got caught napping there a little bit. He was out wide for the hairpin. He wasn't blocking the inside line. Perhaps just a little bit distracted by Alajarjan coming through and lost the spot into the hairpin.
Saw a battle there in the background. Now work through is yes. Okay, Mark King is being served with a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, we believe. So King, boy, this has been a costly race for him. Now Alajarjan gets a terrific run through turn 8, lines the Subaru up. Peter Floyd is out wide here. And he'll wrestle the lead from him. Alajarjan on top now.
Look at Peter Floyd there sideways, just tried to get on the power a bit early to save second position. And this is a replay. There's something on the road there. Something's come off one of the other cars. Be very careful. That could easily cut a tyre if you run over that.
Hit by the BMW M3 of Peter Boylan. Dramas for Trevor Haynes now. One of the Ford Falcons in pit lane, and that looks like perhaps differential or rear axle. Another replay of Boylan. Big lock-up in the M3 on the run into the final turn. Now, this is another of the Falcons. Rodney Dawson, who was in the thick of things with Nesbitt, gets all crossed up. The back steps out on the run into the chicane. Anthony Alford in trouble.
Parked onto the pit straight there. He's definitely had some sort of contact with the wall, I'd say, and yellow flags as Alajarjan comes round. Nice, comfortable lead. He's able to get away. Oh, look, that car's now right in the middle of the track.
Just trying to imagine how that's happened, and I wonder if he's fired off the curb. Checkered flag is waved. Alajarjan takes it from Peter Floyd. Sternbeck, an excellent third from Gary Holt, but that 200SX Nissan, I'm assuming, has fired off the ripple strip and into the wall. Let's look here. Oh, yeah, in trouble.
Oh, yeah, he hit the curb and it snapped sideways, went back across into the outside wall there. Let's have a look. This is another replay. You can just see there a bit of perhaps what you call overcorrection. It kicked back one way, got the opposite lock on, and it's turned around into the left side, but he's been able to finish there, grab reverse gear and a lap down.
A lot of damage to the front for Alford. Good news, though, for Chris Alajarjan. A 2.2 second victory over Floyd. Holt in fourth, Nesbitt fifth.
Fantastic result, that one.
Yeah, it was an adrenaline rush. It was fun to be out there and compete against good competitors.
You pulled a couple of great passing moves too.
Yeah, I thought if I'm going to move up past the guys up front, I have to move with style, so I tried to do that.
You certainly did it with style. You look like you took your time to go from second to first, picked your spot and then went bang.
Yeah, we tried to do it slowly and consistently so we can get the right moves and make the right decision.
What happened at the Grand Prix? You performed very well there and something interesting happened when you're up on the podium.
Yeah, I started 19th because we got penalised for rear wing regulations that we didn't run by. So I started 19th and finished third, and went up on the podium, and Michael Schumacher and Barrichello were just cheering us on up when we were up on the podium.
Pretty good support to have in your corner.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tremendous start. The Delphi entry of Mark King, who has a huge amount of experience in this class. Peter Floyd in the BP entry settles into second. Alajarjan defensive. Gary Holt's in fourth place. Here they come into the opening corner. That's Barry Nesbitt, I think it was. Craig Dontis may have been tied up in that as well. They all filed into the corner, and perhaps some over-ambitious moves as to who wanted to take the line.
Oh, he's actually recovered pretty well. You see them all blocking the inside line. They're physically big cars to get through such a tight space at the hairpin there, and a bit of a bang of wheels, and you don't really expect a sedan car to get up that high.
Dr. Anton Metchler in the Evo 7 Mitsubishi Lancer, just ahead of Rick Shaw in the Mazda RX-7. They work down toward the fast sweeping right-hander, the treacherous turn 8 for the first time. Let's look at this.
Yeah, and you can see that the Nesbitt's actually starting to crowd there, just clipped the right front wheel of Dontis's Commodore, and it launched it up in the air. He's actually quite lucky. It came down just as quickly as it went up. In fact, he landed on the Falcon there, and that put all four wheels back on the deck.
That may have been Rod Dawson that was the innocent bystander, but as you say, as soon as it climbed the wheels of Dontis's car, it launched him. The Sennheiser RX-7 of Rick Shaw, another driver with heaps of production car racing experience. Back we go, Nesbitt in the thick of things again, this time again with Dawson.
Yeah, it looked like the Falcon just started to get out of it, so fortunately I think there was very little contact, if any, there.
Big lock up from Alajarjan at the hairpin turn 9. He covers the line, but Holt will have a better run here. Oh, big lunge under brakes.
Looks like Alajarjan there tried to avoid, sort of braked harder, or actually was going to run into the back of the car in front, so he sort of made it an evasive move there and lost a fair bit of time out of it, but fortunately he's held on to that position.
That's worked perfectly for Peter Floyd. Up in position 2 at the moment. Gary Holt can sense an opportunity here. He's giving Alajarjan a touch-up. Dramas. That looks like it's at the end of the back straight. Down toward turn 9.
Steve Cramp, I think that is, in the Commodore there, just losing a lot of fluid. And Holt goes straight up the inside at the bumpy end of the circuit. Bit of understeer there on the, but he'll now have the inside line through the twisty section. But look at Alajajan, he's gone completely around the outside there. I've actually never seen that done.
This 18-year-old really displays a lot of aggression no matter what car he drives. Has contested Formula 3 races and, of course, the Australian Performance.Cars Championship. Holt has a go-karting background, but another to have spent a bit of time in the former Konica series and now plays in the Mitsubishi Evo 8 here. Dantas has gone off. Is that a braking drama, or is he... He's gone a long way off the circuit there and not the only one involved in it by the looks of things. What's happened here?
Let's have a look. He's just slowing down, so it's maybe some sort of terminal engine problem, because there's a lot of smoke coming out the back of that car, and I think that might have been Cramp, who was already parked there from an earlier engine problem as well.
Graham Alexander in pursuit of the ready mix entry of Gary Young. The car in front is an Evo 8 spec Mitsubishi Lancer. Alexander driving an Evo 7. Here's Holt again. This is a terrific battle.
Well, Alajajan's run wide there yet again. I'm not sure if he's having some sort of brake problem or perhaps just going in a bit deep, but he's certainly got some straight line speed. Look at that. Holt's really going to have to brake very deep to close the gap into the first chicane, and he's recovered pretty well from that.
Working perfectly for Peter Floyd in second place, the BP Ultimate Kawasaki entry. And our race leader, of course, look at that, Mark King. He's always had that trademark smoothness and has been at the wheel of Mitsubishi Evos for some time, well versed in them, and a guy that knows a huge amount about suspension.
Well, he's really the yardstick too in this category. He's been the benchmark for some time, and Peter Floyd there we can see perhaps closing a little bit down the back straight, and Peter's also another driver that's been in this championship for some time. He's just got quicker and quicker each year, and he's known as being a very hard charger.
Credit to the rule makers as well when you consider the variants, a four-cylinder turbocharged four-wheel drive car and a V8 HSV Holden Commodore in the background. So great way to open the championship, the Donut King Australian Performance.Cars title. And Mark King will claim the opening round of the series on the streets of Adelaide. Floyd will finish in an excellent second spot. The battle that we've been concentrating on, here it is, and Alajajan is just a little bit of a buffer now. He'll comfortably take third.
Gary Holt there just dropped about 2-3 car lengths off the back of Alajajan in for fourth. A nice, consistent run for him.
Recap on the Donut King scoreboard. Gary Young just behind Barry Sternbach. Rick Shaw rounds out the top 7 as we go to pit lane.
We've been really working hard on this car. Little Mitsubishis are always great around this circuit, so yeah, I was happy for it.
And we were dicing everywhere around the track, and he got me on the brakes at a time, and I pulled out beside him, and he just didn't want to compete then because he backed off because he got afraid, I think.
That's just young people's talk, you know. He just, you know, us old fellas will give it to him next round.